Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. So today we're going to be making another family home, of course. Yeah, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do for today's build, but I knew I wanted to make some sort of family home because that's what I enjoy the most, and it's just fairly easy for me to make, and I enjoy decorating them, so that's what we're making. I completely made up this shape as kind of my generic go-to shape. I didn't follow any build-in picture of any sort. I just completely made it up, so whatever is in this build is just my imagination. So we are making this house for a family of 2, technically. So we're making it for 2 grandparents, and all of their grandchildren come to stay sometimes. So they have up to 8 people can live here, but I imagined it was for their grandchildren because lately I've been playing with my legacy family, and my grandmother in game has recently passed, unfortunately, but before she had all of her grandchildren staying, and she had 4 daughters herself, and they all had multiple children. My gosh, cannot talk still. I swear, I'm still getting used to this whole voiceover thing and talking for a long period of time just out loud to myself, and my voice just goes, nope, not working right now. Anyway, make fun of myself a bit more later on probably, but so I imagined that this family of grandparents potentially had loads of little kids that come to stay with them, because obviously we've got that with the growing together pack now, so that their grandchildren come to visit and they've got a place to stay for everybody. So I am just working on the outside at the moment. It did take me a while to do the exterior because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to go for, because they all kind of look fairly similar, so I wanted to make sure it had a bit of a different feel to it, which I don't think it does really. It's kind of just what I do usually. Yeah, so that's what we're working on here. I did spend ages off camera working on the colour scheme of this house because I had a beigey kind of colour going and a different black swatch for the garage and all, but I really didn't like how it was looking, and my fiance was like, yeah, there's just something wrong about that, so if he says so, then I believe him. If any guy critiques decor, then yeah, you need to change it. So yeah, I messed around with the colours for a while and what I wanted for the exterior at the front, because I wanted it to still be open enough that you could put a swing set out there, which I do eventually. So yeah, now we're just working on the floor plan. I wanted it to be quite sectioned off because I have done a few open plan builds recently, so I wanted it to be quite cozy and enclosed, because sometimes it's nice to have really specific areas dedicated to each room. So I had the dining space and the kitchen all kind of interlinked downstairs, as you'll see in a second. I put one of those above the wall. I don't know what they're called. I say that every build, honestly. There's always something I don't know what it's called. You guys need to educate me on building terms. Anyway, that thing above the wall there that separates the 2 rooms, you know what I mean. The wall separator, that's what I'm calling it for today. So we're just working on the kitchen, and I was going to go for my generic kind of brown tones when building these type of houses that have more of brown flooring and kind of neutral walls, but I decided to go for more of a colourful little kitchen because I saw a kitchen on Instagram the other day. I can't remember who it was by, but their kitchen was really adorable, so I decided to make it a bit more cozy and a bit more colourful then. So I'm just adding in some decor to the kitchen to make it a bit more cluttered and a bit more lived in. And I imagine that her grandkids want to help her with the washing up or play in the sink, because that's definitely something I did as a kid at my nan's house or my grandparents' house. I'd always make up stories as if I was running a cafe, and I'd always have loads of bubbles in the sink, and I'd use the fairy liquid or washing up liquid, whatever you guys call it, to pretend that it was sauces on top of the bubbles. So I'm sure my granddad was so pleased when he'd get home from work and all of this fairy liquid was gone, because I'd use it to make the bubbles and a sauce on the top, and then the sugar was always for like sprinkles because they shined. Good times. Yeah, I'd always pretend I was like in some jazz cafe. So I think that's why jazz music makes you feel like homely, because it reminds you of being little. So that's a bit of insight into my actual real life, guys. So yeah, now we're just moving on to the bathroom, and again using different colours. Shocker for me. And I think with the update that came out the other day, guys, that you can place stuff on the sinks without having to like move them up with the 9 or 0 key. I think that was part of the update, because I don't think I was able to do that before, and I did read it somewhere that was part of the update, so I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. And if you guys didn't know, then definitely go and check it out. So now we're just working on the lounge or living space, whatever you like to call it. I went for a white kind of beigey tone theme. I wanted it to be mostly neutral colours, but I thought I'd spice it up in the kitchen a bit and make it look a bit more bright. So I just wanted to make this space kind of feel really lived in, and as if all of their like grandkids kind of commute to this room after they've had their breakfast and they're just hanging out together and making some crafts, and it's just off from their playroom, which you'll see in a second, which is to the right or left now. I'm turning the camera too quick, guys. To the left. So yeah. So now we're moving on to their playroom. I didn't want to make it too big, because I think having like a little cozy space for the kids to kind of like all go and play in is quite nice, and it also reminds me of when I was little with my cousin at my other grandmother's house. We used to make dens in her back room with all of her bed sheets, which she wasn't using. I'm sure she loved that. The entire room was literally made out of chairs with sheets over and boxes which we'd hide in, and yeah, it was amazing, and it was just like the perfect size. So I wanted to make that little room at the back that they could kind of like have creative freedom in that room then, because it certainly made going to my nan's house with my cousin really fun. So yeah, so now we're just moving on to the entryway. This plant really got on my nerves. I ended up deleting it in the end because it was in the way. I like the colours and I like the greenery with the tones of the door, with the wood swatch, but it just wasn't working where it was, so I ended up getting rid of it, but oh well. So now we're moving on to the upstairs. This is quite a small build for me, so yeah, there wasn't too much to film, and I usually film a room in about like, well, the bathrooms take me like 1.5 minutes to make, so that sped up as like 15 seconds, so I honestly don't know how this build is 15 minutes, guys, but we made it work. So I'm just adding in a potty from Growing Together. I just think it's really cute. I really love it, and we've had like the same potties for like ages. I don't know, what is that what you guys call them in America and elsewhere as well? I don't know. I'm learning so many new terms, honestly. I've got a wonderful little Sims group on my Facebook, and most of them are American, and our terminology for different words is very different, and it's just interesting to me how different places have different words and different meanings for different words, and it's something I really enjoy about this community. Yeah, it's just meeting different people from all around the world and learning about what it's like in their country or state or town or just anything. I really enjoy that. So yeah. So now we're just moving on to the toddler and infant's bedroom. Again, these could be cousins, they could be siblings. I wanted to have lots of space for the grandkids to stay around, and I do have a lot of twins in my family, so I do end up using 2 cribs in a different room, because I always have twins and they're usually twin girls, so I've added a twin girl infant room in a second. But I really wanted to make this room kind of like a bit rustic and like using wooden elements to make it look very like, I don't know, I just like this type of infant room, and it's not something I've really done before. And the solar what's the word? I really can't think, guys. You know what I mean, the planets. Solar escape? No. My mind is just gone. Anyway, I'm now working on the next bedroom, which is for the teenager and a child, or possibly 2 children or 2 teenagers. But what I kind of had as an idea for this room was that there is one teenager and she is really not interested in pink and girly stuff, but her nan always wants to put all of her like kiddie stuff in this room, and she's like, seriously, I'm not interested in that anymore. But her nan still insists that she has this like really like feminine, girly, child-esque duvet, and she tries to fill the walls with more of her like artistic style. I imagine she likes painting or drawing, and she's a bit more like, you know, hipster. And she shares a room with her younger sister perhaps, or her cousin, and her cousin loves the room, so she has to keep it the same because their nan just wants it to be all like perfect for both of them, and she won't take no for an answer, and she thinks that she still likes it all girly, but she's outgrown that, but her nan won't accept it. I just thought it was a cute like story sort of while I was making it, so I thought I'd share it with you guys. So as you can see, I'm now working on the twin infant room. They don't have to be twins, but most of my families have twins because I'm a crazy woman and like to play with 6 kids at one time in my gameplay, and yeah. So especially if they have cousins, there's definitely going to be a lot of multiples because I try and populate my world and make everyone have like a partner, and they all have children, so everyone's got cousins, and I don't know, I just really like family gameplay in case you haven't noticed. So now we're just moving on to the back garden. I do end up adding a tree house, which I edit in live mode or live mode, whatever you want to call it, so that adds some extra stuff to the back garden for the children. So I am coming to the end of my video, guys. I really hope you enjoy it, and I really appreciate all of your support and kindness recently. If you have any build requests, be sure to let me know, and I shall see you guys next time. Thanks guys, bye!